people don't feel what their body is doing. They're just focusing on what the object is doing. And this is basically where all the imbalances and injuries and all the chronic body problems, because I mean, if you slip, and you pull your muscle, like that might happen however you focused are. Like if somebody is doing bicep curls and they're thinking about how the dumbbell is moving, it's like the dumbest thing ever. Because that fucking dumbbell will be the exact same dumbbell at the end of your workout.
Right.
And if you're not focused on your bicep actually doing the movement, then what is the point?
All right. We are live and in stereo, as they say. Palo, how's it going, my guy?
All is well. Early morning for you and late tonight for me.
Yeah, early morning for me. So today we're talking with, I don't know, I guess we can call each other friends. Why not?
A coach.
Distant friends, yes. From a coach out in Dubai, actually. So we kind of just share the same world, I guess, of fitness, don't we?
I would say we share philosophy, because we kind of had a similar experience in our coaching journeys, and that kind of led to pretty much same conclusions. And I just started to follow you on Instagram, and then you start to follow me, and anytime there was something you were sharing or I was sharing, we either got into a chat or at least we acknowledged each other on the topic. And that's pretty cool to know that there is many other people who have the similar view that is not necessarily mainstream right now.
Yeah. I think it's 10 years ahead of everything. I think people will catch up, but I know it's just even in the realm of just fitness, it's ahead, I would say.
Yeah, because at the end, it's not only fitness, right? It's touching so much more. It's basically treating and dealing with life through fitness and through certain other, let's say, health practices, right? Breathing and other stuff. So, yeah, it's not just come to the gym, do your reps, do your sets, and all happy. Yeah, because that doesn't necessarily work. It works for some people, but not 100%, right?
No, yeah, and even the people that it does work for, I would debate that it's not optimal. I'm sure you could get way more out of it too.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been in the fitness industry for? We've never really chatted about that.
Yeah. This is funny. Like I always say this to my clients. I always say this to people around me. Like I am the most untalented person for any sport or movement.
Really? Oh, geez,
yeah, really. Like it's not even a joke. Like people who knew me on like high school and stuff, like okay, we did some kind of like a normal sport, but I was never really into sports or anything. And then I went to study. Long story short, I went to study some security stuff, but in a meaning of personal security.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of combatives involved. So I went through the classic... wait a second. Can you hear me still?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's just something with my mic. So I went through the classic things that you need to do when you're doing some kind of physical university, like athletics, swimming, gymnastics. And there it was terrible. Like I did every single mistake you can do on the swimming, on any style. I did every single mistake you can do on running. Basically, I came there and I was a textbook of mistakes,
Oh, damn.
But to pass, you need to work on it and you need to fix it all, because I was judged or like assessed at school when we had a swimming. It wasn't just meeting the certain time limits, which were for me at the time like astronomical. But at the same time, I was assessed by the style and technique, and if it wasn't sufficient, I just wouldn't pass. So it was a lot of lot of stuff that I had to, redo on myself. And I always say this, that probably got me a advantage in understanding struggling people and understanding the movement, because I wasn't naturally talented at all. I just came and I had to, I liked doing it, but it wasn't coming easy, so I had to get down to the deep root of it and try to understand how it works, how do I change it, and so on. And therefore, when then somebody else came and they were doing similar mistakes, I understood them and I knew what needs to be done.
Oh man. So, damn, I mean, you're kind of like me, but I wouldn't say I was not like as talented, but like I had the same issues. Like I have, maybe just comparatively, I had a buddy that, like, you ever know those people that just like anything they touch, they're good at? Yeah. Like my best friend is that. And it's annoying because it's like, I like to play a lot of sports. I like to do a lot of stuff. Everything, golf, tennis, all of it. I like to play it because it's fun, right? But he would, like, his learning curve was like insane. It's like so steep. It would happen so fast.
Yeah, and my learning curve is like lying hockey stick, like forever there's nothing and then a little spike.
Oh man. Yeah, his was like just a mountain straight away. So it was always like annoying because like I was like, man, why am I not like that? And I think that's just like, that's a talent. That's like a gift he has genetically. I think he can express his like movement really well. So I think that's just him, but I'm just kind of like you. Like I had to work really hard to like understand certain things to get better at stuff.
Yeah, and I believe that people who, and you can see it in the pro sports, like the most talented athletes are not usually becoming a great coaches because they had it too easy, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like they just came and they did it, so they don't understand what it takes if you are not as talented, right?
Yeah, that's what they say autism is in a way. A lot of people don't understand, like a lot of like in the school system, let's say, there's a lot of savants, so kids that are highly intelligent in really like specific areas. So just take it, for example, like mathematics. Like kids will just come to an answer. Like it all has to do with the brain networking and stuff, but they'll just come to an answer and they won't show their work, but the answer will be correct. And so, you know, the school system doesn't recognize, well, oh, you're cheating or whatever. It's like, no, like the kid just doesn't know how to explain it your way, but the answer is correct and like can do insanely difficult problems. It's like, that's kind of like talent. It's like, they just do it. They don't necessarily understand how they're doing it. They just are producing that product, right?
Well, good for them, right? If it's directed well, and used well.
So
well, you work with. I definitely want to talk about this with you, like. I'm so intrigued about the whole autism stuff that you are working on. That's it's very cool.
I just want to wrap up that little piece for you because you've been doing fitness like for a while then. So you said you were kind of with that, and then how did you move into it?
So basically, I really started to get into fitness when I was on the uni, and I was doing the combatives and I was doing the other stuff, and then I got to a fitness study, kind of like a study stay or like an exchange program to Denmark, and we did CrossFit for basically 1 semester, and I came back and all the struggles I had before just disappeared pretty much. Because I got stronger. I learned to understand the body. We had amazing coaches there, and we were going around different gyms around whole Denmark, and it was a pretty cool experience. And basically I was like 24/7 CrossFit,
Yeah.
And that kind of opened the door. Then I got my level 1, level 2. I started to coach, and I was kind of connecting everything was I was learning at school, physiology, anatomy, and all the psychology of the sports and athleticism, and also later on the kinesiology.
Yeah.
And I was combining it this theoretical part with the practical application of CrossFit, and it just seemed to work very, very well,
Interesting.
So the CrossFit itself kind of didn't seem enough, and the theory from the school didn't seem to cover it enough, because there wasn't practical application that would actually stress people, And eventually, that's where StrongFit came along, where I was just trying to accumulate some continuing education units for maintaining my level 3 in CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I found StrongFit seminar, so I signed up. They were coming to Dubai. I did it here. And basically, these just blew my mind. First 2 days, I didn't even know if I believed them. It was so intense and paradigm shifting for me. I wasn't really sure, like, what is this? This is going against pretty much everything what I was taught to that moment. So it took a lot of self-reflection as well. And I think by the time they landed back from the trip in Dubai, I already signed up for the mentoring program, and they just opened the full-on learning of the complexities of it, and application of the internal external torque, the nervous system part of it, the breathing, and ever since it was following StrongFit plus, maybe more like not necessarily just following what Julian is saying, but also kind of following the way how to think about things and how to look at the things, and how to always, like, any experience is a learning experience if you look at it right.
Yeah.
So anything that happens, you analyze it the right way, you look at it, you can learn from it, you can use it as an analogy for something, and that's what basically, that's how the fitness, my fitness kind of, from not being fit at all or not being talented at all, basically exploring the body to a point where I kind of find my niche and my talent in understanding people, understanding the neural states they're going through, and the whole holistic approach of, it's not only about training, reps, sets, as we said, and the weight you lift, but it's about how you feel about it. It's about how you can connect with your body, how you can listen to your body on the nutrition side of thing, on the sleep side of thing, how you can regulate your mood with the breathing and all this.
Okay, dude. Okay, that was like literally my next question. So like, with your, because I think that's super important to touch on. Like, so because we pretty much, like we said, we share the same philosophy, and I do the same stuff with my clients. I'm pretty sure that you do. So like your what is it that you help people with? Like, say, because you do some one-on-one coaching, right?
Yes,
with clients.
I do one-on-one. I do online as well, and yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people probably come to you. I mean, so where I'm from, mental health is talked about a lot, but no one actually understands what it actually fucking means. So it's like people use these like these catchwords like mental health and like fitness and mental health, but no one is actually, like Julian has done for teaching us, has actually connected those dots correctly. People just think go to the gym equals better and your problems will be solved. And kind of like what you said, it's like, well, it doesn't really work that way, and it's not that easy, let's say. It's simple. It's definitely more on the simple side, but it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And so, like, you have a client come to you, they're anxious or depressed. Like, what is kind of your approach to that? And like, how do you walk them through that? Like, how would you get them better? Like, what's your protocol? And like, how do you kind of do this for them?
First of all, I need the people to understand what's going on, because I believe that I should also, the old school CrossFit. I think CrossFit came up with it, or somebody in that space, that the coach should educate, inspire, and entertain. Yeah, and the education in the gym for me doesn't necessarily only mean teaching them how to move, but it's teaching them why to move that way, and also what is the broader impact of the training on their system. Because the movement itself is just one part of it. Then we're going into metabolic pathways, and at the end it also comes to the neural states. Are you in a flow? Are you in a fight or flight? Or are you in a freeze? Because all of them will have different effect on you. So it's basically, there is not a single protocol for everything. But if people are coming and they're more anxious, which usually they don't know about it, they will come with a different problem. This is one other thing. Like, there's not many people who will come to the gym or who will come to see. It's like, I am depressed. I want help.
Come help me.
Help. Like, no. But also there is very few people who will come and they are completely fine. Like that doesn't happen at all. Basically, everybody I work with is the top person in their workspace. Whether they are entrepreneurs, whether they have their own companies, or they are some high executive bankers, whatever it is, they are insanely stressed, and they have like a level of responsibility that I cannot even imagine.
So you deal with more like high-end, like not high-end, but like more high-functioning people that do like have pretty impactful jobs, that high-stress jobs. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily by default. It just somewhat happened.
Yeah.
That when I look at the people I work with, it's this kind of people mostly.
Interesting. Do you think those people have it a little bit differently than just your average Joe? That doesn't work doesn't do the 9 to 5 kind of thing?
Well, this is the thing. They officially do 9 to 5, but what they really do is 8 to 10,
Yeah. On
For
paper,
example,
they do 9 to 5.
Yeah. On paper, they do 9 to 5, but that's the problem, that it never stops. That's part of the problem, right? Well, to answer your question, what would you consider average Joe,
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, just your person that it sounds like those people have pretty high responsibility in sense of their job, or like you said, like a business. So that means that they're making a lot of decisions. I would say the average person isn't really, that's working for someone else, let's say, isn't really making those, big decisions in the way.
You know what I would say? And now this is a very good question. So you made me think about it, and what I would say the difference would be, because I have also for example, I coach cousin of that person or brother-in-law of that person because they have some movement problem, and they might not be necessarily my long-term 5 times a week client, but they're coming to see me for different reasons, back pain, whatever it is. And if I compare these groups of really, really highly busy people with the other, as you would say, like average Joes, the difference is that the super busy people are numb towards how stressed they are.
They're numb.
Yes, they don't even realize it anymore. One example
That's interesting.
Yeah. One example for all is I have a client for a very long time. She's not necessarily coming to be fixed all the time, but we started as getting her stronger, getting this. She came pretty fucked up from her previous coach. This is what I do as well a lot. I have a lot of people who had a bad coaching experience, and they want somebody who understands body more than average PT. Yeah. So, not to put dirt on anybody, but not everybody is even willing to, or driven to understand body to a degree we are trying to, right?
Right. Yes, I agree.
And she had shoulder pain, and it was long-term chronic thing where working on it. Sometimes it got better, sometimes it got worse. It was pretty much correlating with her stress levels as well, so obviously there's some connection, right?
Yeah.
And then couple of times it happened that it was like pretty much sustained, and then she knew she's going for a holiday. That means a lot of stress at work, right? Because she needs to be even more productive because she will not be there. So more pressure, more pressure, more pressure.
Right.
So the shoulder will start to be there again. The discomfort is there. The stiffness is there. Day before holiday, it disappears. Like there is nothing for 2-3 weeks when she's not at work. And then day or two before coming back, when she is already occupied in her head by what she missed and what she will need to catch up with, the shoulder pain will start again.
Dude, that's so wild, bro. That's wild.
And to see this, like, it's not a rocket science. You just need to observe, you know?
Yes, it's very true. Yes, I have some clients in situations that are like that too. Yeah, and you kind of just got to pay attention a little bit. And because you're right, when you ask them, you're like, hey, like, because you know the patterns a little bit. We know the patterns a bit. But when you ask them, they're like they kind of have no clue. Like, they can't put them together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And also this holiday example is also very interesting to see how they always realize how extremely stressful their job is after coming back from holiday. You know, like it's the, by the way, the slow cooking frog.
Yes. Yep.
By the way, I heard that's not scientifically correct. Like after certain point, the frog will jump out before she will actually cook. But as a metaphor, it can work.
Yes. It's not foolproof, but yeah, like as a metaphor,
Yeah, as a metaphor, or as Julian was saying, I remember his metaphor to this. If something is coming to you slowly enough, it can kill you. You know, like you just imagine you sitting somewhere and the sneaky thing, whether it's metaphorical or physical, is just coming, 1 millimeter in a minute or 1 millimeter in an hour. You're not even realizing it's sneaking up on you. And this is what is happening with people's stress, that it will be slowly build up over time. It doesn't happen from 1 second to the other that you just have a shit ton of pressure on you. When I came to Dubai, I came to coach for a CrossFit gym, and over time it became like more busier. I picked up a different role within the gym as well, and it just became more and more busy. And out of nowhere, when I think about it now, I don't know how it happened, but suddenly I was going to the gym to be there at 5:30 a.m. and I was leaving at 9:30, 10 p.m. And
damn.
Yeah, so there were PTs, there was programming involved, anything you will think of outside of cleaning, because we're outsourcing it to a different company. But
yeah, whoa, wait a second. When you say that, did you ever get talked about on StrongFit podcast? Because that sounds like a super familiar story. Julian was talking about someone.
Yeah, maybe they were talking about me.
Because that sounds super familiar. Like, you're telling me that story, and I'm like, I've heard this before.
But I look like I'm definitely not the only one who had this.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, like it's not that special, as many people can relate to this.
Yeah.
But my point is, not to say how crazy stressful it was. Even like at that moment, it was my new reality, right? Because it slowly happened. It was like, oh, you pick up a class there, and then you pick up this role, and then you do a programming, and then you have this meeting, and then you have this PT, and you pick up all these responsibilities on your way. And out of nowhere, you are in a gym 16 hours a day, and that's like, you have a meal there and everything, but you don't have a mental break from it,
Yeah.
So I trained, yes. I ate in the gym, but I didn't have a mental break. And what was happening was that on the weekend days, sometimes it happened to me that I came from morning PTs, because like I was coaching also on the weekends, right? Because I had nothing else to do here anyway. So why not? And 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. I would come home and I would like play a movie and I would fall asleep almost instantly. I woke up at 4 p.m. I ate. I slept till 10 p.m. I ate again and I slept till next morning.
Jesus.
So I was just catching up, and like, how long can you do this for? You know?
Yeah, no, you can't.
And many people are doing it for a very, very long time. It's not sustainable at all.
Well, it's funny because like even just you never learn when you're doing it. You always learn looking back. You know, like if you have any wherewithal to like kind of be like, well, exactly.
Or then I went home for 3-4 weeks as a break, like back to Slovakia, where I'm from. And, you know, different regime, everything's fun. I also was sometimes coaching there as well, because my brother is running a gym back home, so I was helping out, this and that, you know. And then I just start to think about coming back to that, and I'm already stressed and anxiety through the roof. Like, oh my God, you know, like, non-stop on the call, non-stop on the phone. Like, it happened to me a couple of times because of, let's say, not really high responsibility levels of certain people we were working with. Like, I got a call from admin team that it's 6:10, first class was at 6 a.m. and there is no coach here. You know, I was like, oh shit. So somebody got drunk and they didn't show up. So it was my responsibility to sort it out. And me being me, I wasn't going to wake up other people who were coaching in the evening, but I went there myself, you know.
By the way, that story is definitely about you, because this is exactly what they said. So you must have had a mentoring call and told them about this, and they must have talked about it.
Yeah, probably.
Because this is exactly how I remember it. But yeah, dude, that's a real thing. And it's funny, right? Because, and it doesn't, the stress comes so slowly. And I remember being in something not kind of similar, but just, there was a moment where I did a workout and I just like broke. And it was like my body was telling me like, and I don't think that happens often with people. Like, there is no breaking point, like you're saying. It's just there. You know what I mean? Maybe it might get so close, like you said, that like that millimeter of encroachment, like, and then it's finally that physical threat is, or mental threat is finally there that you have to face it. But like for me, that happened to me. Like, it got so close to the point where like I did a workout that was too stressful. And then I just remember like being like absolutely, and it wasn't even that hard, to be honest with you, but I was broken after. I remember like sitting in the gym and being like, something's wrong. Like just, and then after that, I couldn't get into a gym because I would yawn. And you know, we know what that means, like looking back at that, right? Like, but I was going through it, like the strong fit stuff wasn't there yet, wasn't at that point. And so I had no idea what was happening. So I kind of went through all of that, like in my own experience, and then went back when I learned all of the stuff that we both know now. And I was like, holy shit, that's what that was?
Yeah.
Totally. It's wild, right?
It just clicks. And you know that, oh shit, like this is exactly me, you know, like this is what was happening to me. And you had a very, very good point there that I want to elaborate on, that you did some kind of workout. Yeah. The thing is that it doesn't mean that people who have this kind of life or stress cannot do workouts. They just need to do the right workouts for them.
100%.
And funny enough, I tested this a couple of times with my clients, and what is very wild, it doesn't mean that necessarily that stressed person with anxiety needs to do, you know, nose only cardio, or depressed people needs to only do high intensity intervals, not to think about it, because that would be like a kind of general rule I would go by, you know?
Yeah.
With like anxiety, you need to calm your thoughts. You first need to slow down, sort out your thoughts, and then we can start to build onto something else. If somebody is depressed and, you know, kind of numb towards environment, giving them more time to think is not going to help. So they need just pure action. So in that moment, if for us, if you are in a freeze, you need fight. If you are in a flight, you need flow.
Yeah, 100%.
And this would be like a general rule, but funny enough, I tested this with the measurement of lactate, which is correlation of the stress, and not only physical stress, but also mental stress, right?
Yep.
And I got these two clients of mine who are training. Sometimes they come together because they are colleagues, and sometimes they have separate sessions. And they're with me for so long time that, like, we kind of have this dynamics and flow. They pretty much know what to do. I supervise them. We more talk like I talk with you than just do this and this, because they know what to do. We just go deeper and go for a why behind it. And I got them to do a workout, and I tested their lactate before, in the middle of the workout, and after. And it was the exact same workout, and it's a lady and a guy, so female and a male. And they have very different basic preferences for what they like in the training. He's way more for the flow work, just like long, sustainable, and so on. Mm-hmm. And she just wants to like do and fuck off, like I just smash it and go home. That's her attitude, and that's what she likes. And this workout, their baseline of stress was pretty much the same, and at the end, the workout made him more stressed, and for her it was more calming. So the same exact workout, they went neck to neck, some intervals. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I definitely have it somewhere marked. And it was exact same workout for people who are colleagues. So their level of stress is similar. I can't say the same, obviously, because everybody's dealing with it differently. And the perception is what matters, not the, objectively measured number of phone calls you get a day.
Yes, how you interact with each one of those phone calls is what matters.
Exactly. And they had complete opposite results, which was like a mind blow to me, because that just means that obviously you need to test everybody individually. There is not a one fits all manual. And what it showed, this little experiment, is that you need to know the person specifically and then know their baseline, know their reaction to different types of workouts, and work with that. Because if I will push the wrong type of workout on a person, I can actually deepen the anxiety or deepen the depression. And for another person, it can have an exact opposite effect. So that's like, it's not like, oh, I'm stressed, I can't train because I will stress myself even more. Like, no, if you do the right stuff that you enjoy and that you want to do, and you do it to an appropriate level, it's a therapy.
Dude, that's so, sorry to cut you off there, but that's so true, because a lot of people, like there's clients that will come in, and I'll always ask them how they're feeling. And I know it's going to be a lie. Because most people will lie to you.
That's good.
And then so it's like, I'll get halfway through the workout, and then I'll be like to so-and-so, I'll be like, so why'd you lie to me? And they're like, man, how do you know? And I was like, well, I can see it in your face. And then from there, the whole program, because I'm going to take what you say for face value. Until I see physiologically what's happening to you, then maybe you are fine. And, I want to respect that too, because, sometimes you just want to do the stuff that you want to do, right? But then there's those moments like when you get into it and they just start and you can see like, oh, this is not going. The workout stops and it's like, okay, we're taking a U-turn here. Because, like I think when you get to a level where like me and you understand how this functions, and like, but we've just been around it enough that we know when it's time to do what and where. You know what I mean? Like we know when it's time to push and when we know when it's time to take it back.
The amount of experiments we run on ourselves.
And that's what you try to like kind of navigate your clients through. It's like, hey, you need to learn what that is for you, And so I think at the beginning it's funny because like a lot of people will try to to dodge that bullet, but then it always comes back, and I always catch them in it too. And I'm sure you do too, you know? But that's the whole point, is like, no man, like you can't be dodging those bullets. That's what's getting you there to that high anxiety in the first place, because you are dodging those bullets. Like, no, people, I like that when you said that people are numb to their stress. And I think that
they don't even realize it anymore.
They don't, and that's a real thing. And I think the biggest thing for what you do is like, and what we both do is like making them kind of realize that again. Because you can't go on that way, right?
It's reconnecting.
Yes, it is. And another point on that too is like, I had a client just tell me, they're like, oh, he is just kind of going through a hard time, and he's just like, you can tell like his skin is really irritated, and so he's like, the eczema is coming out, and that's just like you're pushing the sympathetic system too hard, so the immune system is decreasing, and so the autoimmunity starts to attack itself. That's, you know, what most skin conditions kind of come from, eczema specifically. And he's like, oh, like I was looking at doing like a cold plunge, and I was like, bro, the last thing you need to do right now is a cold plunge. Like, people don't understand that, like, that's a highly sympathetic thing to go do. And if you're already highly sympathetic,
it's like the highest sympathetic.
It is.
You know?
It is. And so it's like this notion of like, oh, well, I just need to do that. And it's like, you know, that again, that's kind of like a trend that's going around, like, oh, the saunas and the cold plunges. It's like, yeah, but you guys aren't like, you don't understand. Like, it's highly stressful on the system because of the temperature. And like, yes, everyone talks about all the good stuff that comes from it. But that's like if you're already like at a level base and like everything's good and you can manage between your parasympathetic and the sympathetic. And so if you're already stuck sympathetically and you're like all there all the time, and then you go do that ice bath, it's like there's no benefits there. Like, it's the, you know. So
yeah,
it's funny.
I would say that almost anybody, I would kind of like explore this, because I a little bit disagree. I think that ice bath can be done very, very much like by anybody. However, it needs to be connected with the breathing.
Yes, I would agree.
If there is a breathing session before that where you attune to the breathing, you kind of test out your sympathetic by that hyperventilation and then breath holds and so on, the kind of Wim Hof style, and then you do 2-3 minutes in the ice, and then you chill out and calm down. It can actually, you know, like throw you off the board, so you can, basically it will destroy you completely, so you can be reborn, you know, even if you're highly sympathetic. However, what I see and why I have a hard time recommending ice bath to absolutely anybody anywhere is I don't see many people guiding people through the ice bath.
Yes, I guess that's kind of where I'm going through, is like, I think people just jump in their cold shower and then they're like, oh, we're good. It's like, no, like that's,
you're not.
There's more. Yes, you're not good. That's kind of the approach, because you're right. You are right. There's always that stipulate. I'm coming from a point of like, people just think you can just go do it. Launch yourself into this thing and then you're there. It's just like going to the gym and you're good. It's like, no, there's a little bit more depth to that.
There's so many places that are popping out, just like pay your monthly membership and every other day you can come for an ice bath, and there's zero guidance. The only thing they do is that they basically give you access to it. Access to the ice bucket, which, I mean, you know, you're in Canada.
Yeah, it's cold. Yeah, we could just go to the water.
Cold is not necessarily high demand, right? But in Dubai, to get the ice bath in Dubai, you need to sort out some kind of logistics around it, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
And many places are providing just that, like just come and we'll throw you into the bucket. You can go in, but that's not how it's done. I've seen this Instagram reel or whatever it was, a post, and that was some athlete. I can't remember. It was a lady. I can't remember her name, but I believe she was a CrossFit athlete. And she was like, and I need to do after training the ice plunge. First of all, after training, it's extremely counterproductive, because after training, you don't want to suppress your inflammation, because the inflammation is actually helping you with the protein synthesis. So after training, absolutely not recommended, and definitely not immediately after training.
Right.
And she went in that ice thing. She was shivering the whole time, talking to the camera, shivering like crazy. She didn't focus on the breathing a bit, and she didn't come to that moment of acceptance, because this is what I always explain when I do ice baths with people. I think we have longer theoretical prep than we actually do the breathing and the ice bath itself. Because as I told you, like, I want them to understand. And I do the ice bath. We have on our terrace, we have a bucket. I order ice. It just comes, and I invite people over. I do it for my clients. I do it for anybody pretty much who is interested, in a small groups. Yep. I try to do it every weekend, and basically it's just people joining me, right? But to do it right, I always explain them, you, as Julian would say, you cannot namaste the bear away.
Yes.
Like, that's not the point. Going to a water and trying to meditate through it in a sense of it's not cold. Well, it's fucking cold. Like, don't lie to yourself. And just focus on getting through it, because ice bath is done. Mental benefit of ice bath is one, and it's done when you are sitting there and you can tell yourself it's fucking cold, and I'm okay with it.
Yes. It's just like a hard work,out. Very much the same. It's like, fuck, this hurts, but I gotta keep going.
Yeah, I do it anyway.
Yeah, do it anyway. Yeah.
And this is where I see a difference between workout and the ice bath, in that mental aspect, that the workout is self-imposed.
Yes.
However hard you go, you are in charge of the intensity.
Yes.
You regulated the intensity. The ice bath, no. Because in ice bath, it's either or. Either you are in or you are out.
Right.
And,
there's no dial.
Exactly. The discomfort is imposed by the environment.
Right. Yes. And that's a harsh reality for a lot of people.
Yes, exactly.
They're like, I have no control. Zero.
Exactly. That's why I think that people should be doing both, because it is discomfort. It is about overcoming, but it's very different in this nature.
Yeah, I agree. I've done them. I mean, out here, like you said, there's when it's cold, right? So the fall and the spring times, you can go in the water and it's fucking cold, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, until summer does it get tolerable. But you go in there and during those times, and it's not. It's just it's hard.
And when you do it, where would you go? Where do you go?
Oh man, so the West Coast, like, we're basically surrounded by ocean, and we have got.
Oh, lakes. So like you go to the ocean?
I mean, yeah, we could do it anywhere we wanted.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I mean, because that's 10 times worse.
It is,
because when you're in the ice bucket, like, it's ice, pretty much you're sitting in the ice, but there's this thing that the water is still, right?
Yes.
It's not circulating, and you will kind of create this very thin layer of warm water.
Yes.
That is warmed by your body. Yeah. Right? And that's like the layer in between, because, like, if we would go into a very, very deep molecular, inside, the water that is touching you is not 1 degree. Right. The water that is kind of further from your body is 1 degree. And if you stay still, you're kind of warming up that environment. But this doesn't happen if the water is flowing.
Exactly.
So that's why cold shower in many aspects can be way, way more challenging than actually going to the ice bath.
Because the water is moving around you.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what happens, right? It's like, you go do it. And it's, all the people that you see on Instagram, they just sit there. And it's like, there is like that shield of like that heat that you talked about. But then you kind of, the people that are in the ocean and stuff, like or the river or the lake or something, like that's a little bit more real, because there's the movement will get you. It makes it way colder. You can't escape it. So that's where we go.
There is a movie I've seen. It's called Deep, and it's an Icelandic movie I've seen very, very long time ago. And it's a real story about one captain, a sailor, who like their ship crashes, and he's the only one who survives. And he spends like insane, I don't know, like 12 or 14 hours just swimming.
Jesus.
And he saves himself, but like he will be just like washed out on some beach. And beach, don't imagine sand and shit. It's Iceland, right?
Just like rocks and dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like beaten up, blood on his feet and everything because he just crashed into the rocks, complete hypothermia. And he just walks like another 5 kilometers because he sees some light in the distance. He comes there, he knocks on the first door and passes out.
Jesus.
And he was the only survivor. And when he recovered, he was describing the investigators like where the ship basically went down, and they're like, that's not possible because we found you here, and that would mean that you covered some impossible distance. But when they went there, they found the ship where he said it was. And he was like a phenomenon that he even survived it. Everybody was like, this is impossible. Like, how is this even, So they took him, and they took like 4 or 5 SAS, the Special Air Service operators from UK Army or whatever, Air Service. And they put them together with this guy into a tank where they were adding ice, and they were supposed to, with this kind of pedals for arms and legs, they were like simulating the movement he was doing, like just this swimming,
Yeah.
And all of them quit way before he quit, So it was like, it was just something in him, and he was like a chubby, big sailor. But he just had some fucking heat tolerance, cold tolerance, and just
he had some like thermal layer that he could keep probably better.
So now you don't even have to watch the movie because I told you pretty much everything.
Perfect, dude. It's probably all subtitled anyway.
Yeah,
dude, that's wild. That's wild, dude. Actually, so speaking on that, I had a question here because you mentioned you referenced like Instagram and like all the. Like the cold bath and like how just kind of butchered it was, and like the that. Oof. What would you like to see change in the fitness industry? Like, what's one area that you would just like the fitness industry to kind of either get rid of or change drastically or do something different? Like, what in your eyes, what would make the biggest impact on the regular people that are being subjected to all of this whatever content, like miscontent, like what do you think that what would you like to see?
So I can pick only one, huh?
Yeah, dude, me and you both. I know. I'll pick pick one and then I'll pick one.
Okay, yes, good idea. So I would say that people should focus on the body, not on the object, and I will explain what I mean. Whatever sport we do, probably outside of gymnastics, really, and maybe some, like aesthetic ice skating or whatever, the I don't know what it's called when
figure
they dance
skating?
on the figure skating. Thank you. I couldn't come. So maybe figure skating, gymnastics, every other sport, whatever it is, whether it's a basketball, hockey, whatever it is. Everybody is focused on the object of the game, obviously, because that's the point of the game. Yeah, it's a puck to the goal and a baseball swing with the bat and throw and this and that. And even people who run, they don't really focus on running. They focus on the distance they are covering. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. I love
and
this.
I believe that this is causing most of the problems because people don't feel what their body is doing. They're just focusing on what the object is doing. And this is basically where all the imbalances and injuries and all the chronic body problems, because if you slip and you pull your muscle, like that might happen however you focused are. But the thing is that even in CrossFit, when we go to this functional or a gym, yeah, like if somebody is doing bicep curls and they are thinking about how the dumbbell is moving, it's like the dumbest thing ever. Because that fucking dumbbell will be the exact same dumbbell at the end of your workout.
Right.
And if you're not focused on your bicep actually doing the movement, then what is the point? And I didn't mention bodybuilders are probably the best actually in this because they are purely focusing on the muscles. However, they are very rarely, depends on who it is and how they do it, but they are not really focusing on functional movements. They're focusing on very little isolated muscles. However, that gives them an advantage of understanding their body extremely well. Like people, when you tell people flex your bicep, they can flex the bicep, but why they can't flex lats? Why they can't flex pecs or inside quad, outside quad, on demand? Like you have like these 3 different stages where first people just move and they move the weight and they're not even focused on what is happening. And then afterwards they'll be like, oh yeah, my legs hurt because I did leg workout. Then second stage would be that they kind of can feel after the set what was working. But the ultimate goal of training should be that you are creating the movement as it is happening, not just observing what is going on with your body because you focused on dumbbell, barbell, whatever it is. Like actually focus on that muscles creating the movement. And if people will start to do this, I mean, we'll be out of job, but that's not...
Yes. Very, very, very true.
Sadly, I'm not concerned about that, you know?
No, neither am I. Okay, so interesting. So what
would you say?
For me, right now just like it's been on my mind a lot, but I would have to say nutrition. I think nutrition, I mean, what you're saying is so important. And obviously, like you said, we can only pick one. For some reason, nutrition has been on my mind a lot lately, maybe because I'm starting to see just what the protocol over time has done for me. So I think what we see online, especially in regards to fitness and like health and all that stuff around nutrition is pretty catastrophic in my eyes. Just around carbs and this whole anti-fat movement and how do you say, like this massive protein like chase of 1 gram per body weight, all this stuff, and the use of like how we've really like kind of like what Julian said a lot of is like we've used food as this tool to get us better, which we both know doesn't really work in the sense of like it's gonna fix you, like you need to fix you in that way, like your life needs fixing. Nutrition can't fix you in that sense, I think.
However, it can still affect you,
of course,
on the way. Yeah,
and it does properly because we both know that proper nutrition is key. You know, it's essential. Like you need to eat good foods. You can't be eating like cereals and all this stuff. And I think you talk about it a lot too. And I think because I really like your approach. Like for me, I started to like really see. Because I'm kind of around a lot of other people in fitness too, like just very locally, like close around by me, where I am. And it's like so many people look the same, especially with nutrition. And I don't mean like look the same physically, like the way that they're doing things with their business or whatever you want to call it, their philosophy, it's all the same. And everyone has this approach of like eating shitty food, like good shitty food. And I don't understand it. I'm like, how does that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how are you trying to make like healthy cupcakes? It's like, no, like there is no such thing as a healthy cupcake. Like you're promoting health here, but on the same time, like you're okaying the fact that like Well, it's an 80-20 rule. It's like, no, it's a 100% rule.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
It's like smoking. It's like, you don't say like, smoking is an 80-20 thing. It's like, nah, it's a fucking zero thing. Unless you're smoking like a cigar, which is way different than a cigarette.
If people want 80% of results, they can put 80% of effort, right? If they want 20% of results, they can put 20% of effort. And you just brought me to a very interesting analogy. This is not from my head. I heard it somewhere. Can't remember the source. But it's, the forever question, what is more important, nutrition or training? And this guy explained it. That's a super dumb way of looking at it, because they are the same quality of one thing, and that's health, right? That it's like, I will tell you that you can have this land and like it will be, I don't know, 20 square meters land, and you tell me what is more important, width or length?
Yeah, you kind of need both.
Yes. How do you decide this? You know, do you want 20 times 1 or do you want 5 by 4? What the fuck? This is not how it works.
Yeah. That's a very good point. And I think I've kind of pulled that from you, because I know you've put some stuff out there about nutrition and have said exactly that. And it got me thinking. And then I started to notice it more, and I'm kind of just like, I think that like, if cause dude, like there's a good sandwich shop by me, and like, there's a few things that like, I'll get into, but I don't look at it as like, oh, this is like if anything, it's hurting me. It's like drinking, like I'm taking a risk knowing that this is just not that good for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge disservice if we're telling people otherwise. And especially in America, man, because their food is fucked. Like Canada, I mean, there are some issues with the food, I think, here, most definitely. But America especially, I know, they have huge issues with some of the stuff that they put in their food. And it's like, I think it's a massive disservice to kind of like blindly lead people to be like, oh, like you're okay eating this. It's like, we all know what we should be eating. All the shit that comes from the land and the earth. That's it. Sorry.
Yeah,
I heard pretty straightforward,
Yeah, it is. And like it's not rocket science. You can do it. Everybody can do it.
Yeah.
But this all comes to one point, that people have insane emotional attachment to the food.
Yes.
But that's not problem of the food.
It's
It's way deeper than that. Because if somebody will tell me that, but to feel, and this is, even in my family, I experienced this. Oh, I will have this cake afternoon with a coffee. Well, that's my one joy in life. Well, if that cake is one joy in your life, then the cake is the last problem you have.
Yes. Oh, man, that's so true, dude. Me and Jen just talked about that. Like, if you can't eat the same food because it's too boring, like, your life's boring. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you need to get
for me, food is. I know I am, and I have this talk many times, and I am like, my mind is blown away how nobody can relate to it. And how basically I'm considered the weird one when I say that I don't really care if it's nutritious and, like quality food. I don't necessarily care about the taste, because I know it's fueling me well. So I will kind of make myself to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's the same thing with a workout. Like, you not necessarily have to fucking love every second, but it's good for you, so you do it, and in a way you enjoy it anyway.
Yes, dude. It's yes. Because
I'm not saying make your food
bland,
like, tasteless and bland on purpose, but like obsessing, like, eat to live, don't live to eat.
Yes. Yeah.
Timea, my girlfriend, she's insanely amazing cook. Like, you give her like 5 random ingredients and she'll make anything out of it, and it's amazing. Like, she can do almond flour and all these nut kind of brownies, and basically she can make anything out of nuts, eggs, some heavy cream, you know, like
cool.
desserts. And I know that makes kind of my life easier, but anybody can learn that.
Yes,
you know?
yes, 100%.
And if I don't have it, I'm not going to cry that I didn't have my cake today. I'll just have, more eggs. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, dude. That's a good point, right? Is like
how many people are actually living to wait for their next food? Like, oh, and I will have this, and everything revolves around that food. And I think that's extremely unhealthy obsession, and it can be related to how you were treated as a child, in the meaning of food was reward, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it's funny because we'll definitely get Jen on here, and maybe what we'll do this time is we'll do an autism thing when we have Jen, because this has been awesome, okay. And we'll one track this because this is good. We're on an hour already, but she will eat food in a certain way. Because her sister would take her food when she was young. So she eats really fast.
Oh, me too, because I have a twin brother, and it was always a competition,
Yeah. And so she would be afraid, because she always saves all of her, the things that she likes to eat at the end. Like, she eats everything, whatever's on there. Mm-hmm. We don't eat anything lavish, but just for example, we'll eat we'll do maybe just a little bit of rice depending on how heavy the training was, and then for dinner we'll do it's mostly vegetables and then meat, and so she'll save all her meat for the end because she just likes eating, that's her favorite thing.
I have exactly the same thing, that I keep the best thing on the plate for the last.
Yes, dude. So it's funny, but like you said, it's a childhood thing, right? And so but she recognizes that now, and there's obviously no harm in her doing it now, but she did, ironically, she'll speak to it, but she did have some issues with some food at one point, and ironic, her working on, as a psychiatric nurse that deals with kids with eating disorders, it was a very interesting kind of phenomena that was happening with that. And so, but she's much better, and thank God, because the protocols really helped her. We've had a few chats with Julian about just what that protocol is for her, because she's a shift worker and stuff. But ever since that, the food has definitely come under wraps, and it's she didn't understand. She came from a bodybuilding world, so that was it was very much like you said. She just bland food, but a lot restrictive, a lot. And how heavy we are on the fat side of things, right? And so that was a big shock for her. But it was interesting the way that people eat and how emotionally attached they are to their eating.
Oh, hey, I have a crazy story about this. Julian was talking about some mentoring call about how people have their comfort foods,
Mm-hmm.
and me being me and having this kind of, my approach to food is very different. So I never had this kind of experience, ever,
Yeah.
And there was a couple of years ago, and I was in the gym, and two clients of mine who were also my friends, they just came there. They're a couple, husband and wife, and they just came a bit earlier, so we were chatting, and I was like, "You guys, you know what I heard today?" And I was just trash talking about this. There are people who have comfort food. People, when they feel certain way, they'll eat certain food, And she looks at me, and she's like, "Yeah, when I'm sad, I have ice cream, and when I'm angry, I have chocolate," and my jaw just dropped. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I was talking to a couple more people about it, and everybody's like, "Yeah, I have this for this," and it's you're just making it super complicated for yourself,
Yeah.
For every emotion, you have one food. What?
It's a rainbow emotional scale, but a food scale. You got different foods for different emotions, dude. I'm the same way.
But how people don't see that is a problem,
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, right? The only thing that I know that gets me is sugar. It's nothing. Nothing generic or specific, or nothing specific. It's very generic. It's like when I'm stressed, like my body starts to want that sugar. And so that's when I know, like, oh, okay, like I'm just but I know that now, So it's just like, oh, okay, like, well, this
is extremely important. Like the awareness is the key.
It is the key.
It all starts with awareness, with whether it's training, breathing. Well, breathing always starts with awareness because first you need to know how you breathe to change it, right?
Yes, that's true.
And like breathing, training, cold exposure, everything comes with realizing what is it actually doing to me? What stage of this specific aspect of life I'm at, and what can be done about it if I want to change something. Because and that also basically circles back to that answer I had before. Like I would start with muscle-mind connection for people with the sports, because that brings awareness. That gives them at the starting point of, I actually know where I am, because how can you go anywhere? How can you change anything in your life when you don't know what the current stage is?
You're like being lost on a map. You don't even know where you're at, right?
Yeah, like you're not localized. How can you go somewhere, right?
Yes, that's so true. You have to find your current, like there's a reason when you go look at a map, it says you are here.
Yes, exactly. It's a guess game.
Yeah. Who knows where you are going to this hike? It's like, no, there's a specific, the least that the destination of where you're starting is at least known.
Yes. Yeah. And when that's the variable that you need the most.
Yes.
Because like what it will give you when you know the path, when you know the finish line or the end destination, when you're not even aware of where you are right now. And that is tough pill for many people, because it's showing them mirror in a way that they might not be used to, especially with snowflake generation, when nobody ever told them the truth.
Yes, everything was circumvented around how they felt. And do it for the goodness of just being good. Yeah, dude, that's so interesting. Dude, man, we're at an hour, just over an hour. I think we close this up.
Yeah, we can, and then we do another one.
And I think we do another one, and then I think we do another one after that, and another one after that.
Yeah,
this was fun, man. This was good, dude.
Let's keep rolling.
Let's do it, man. I really enjoyed this talk, because I mean we've talked before, but like we kind of just met each other. Like, let's say
we can bring some other people.
Dude, I would love that. Let's do the easiest thing I can think of. Next one. Let's do Jen.
Absolutely.
Jen can come on, and then we.
That would be like her line of work and your work with autism, and like it's mind-blowing. Like you will be talking most of the time. I will have all the question next time.
Dude, no, that's okay, dude. I like this though, because I like to know kind of how you thought, and like I kind of was like, I just want to ask him a bunch of questions. Like I didn't want to run into the autism thing too much, because I knew that that can get heavy and alone in itself. But I just had a bunch of questions because I knew your approach. Like I just like your approach, man. Like it's good and it's very straight. Like you say some things that I think get a lot of people uncomfortable. In the way that like it's that mirror kind of thing, like a lot of people that's uncomfortable for them, but that's how I approach it too. It's like I'm kind of just like very blunt.
I have one thing I want to say at the end. It's actually a story that my brother created. I hope I will not fuck it up and butcher it. But basically, you have 10 trees, and on every tree there is 10 apples. And you want to pick up all 100 apples. Every time to get to an apple, you need to move the ladder, climb the ladder, pick the apple, bring the apple down, put it into the basket, and move the ladder again. Yeah?
Yep.
And at 65 apples, you will sit down under the ladder and you will say, I'm done. I'm tired of this. I want my 100 apples. This is what most people are doing in their fitness.
Oh.
they want all the apples without putting all the work in because they think in their twisted perspective that they already did enough work to have that results. But guess what? They didn't, because if they did, they would have the results.
That's such an interesting way to look at it. Okay, I really like that. Why do you think that is?
Oh, well, I think that's basically how we are used to have everything instantly, you know?
So
like
the byproduct
everything
of the instant gratification.
Yeah, instant gratification, and kind of, you know, I can tell you that our grandparents or maybe great-grandparents, they wouldn't have this issue. And I think the fact that the technology is leaving us lazy and everything is extremely simple. The transportation is simple. Like, come on, like, hey, can you imagine it? Like, this is a mind blow to me. People are complaining that their flight is delayed. Like, hey, you are flying in a fucking sky. 100 years ago or 120 years ago, it would take you months to go. And you probably even wouldn't survive that road, you know?
Wow.
Now you're there in 6 hours or 10 hours or whatever, and you still complain about it.
Wow.
Like what is this? And the problem with that is that when the fitness, in these days, probably the fitness is one of very few fields where you literally only get what you give.
There's no hacking it.
Yeah, you can't hack it. Like you can have your supplements, you can have your steroids, but that's a different topic, right?
Yes.
But you cannot cheat on it. Even people who take steroids are working fucking hard.
Yeah, but even the people that take steroids that don't put in the work, they look like shit.
Yeah. And I mean, the other health things going with it, that's a completely different story. But to, just to keep it simple for an average Joe, like, if you think that you're doing enough and you should have different results, well, wake up. You don't. Because if you did, you would have the results.
And you wouldn't be asking that question.
Yeah, exactly. This is yeah, you bring me to another thing.
No, go. Dude, we got
so there's do you remember, I remember this story like it was yesterday. They did box step-ups in the CrossFit Open like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes, yep.
And when they did it, everybody started to be a fucking physicist, and they calculated that if you step over corner, it's better than if you step straight on the edge. You know what I mean? Like you actually stepping on the corner of the box. And everybody was twisting the box, and we were supposed to judge it, and we didn't know, is it allowed, is it not? There wasn't say you can't do it, but at the same time, it's altering the workout, you know? And I couldn't explain. I was in the charge of running like open in a gym that time. I couldn't explain it to people, like, why would you even do it? You never trained like it because you never trained step-ups anyway, right? Like, who was training step-ups before it turned out in the open?
Yep, no one.
Yeah. People are doing lunges and people are doing box jumps.
Yeah, exactly.
But step-ups were super rare, in the CrossFit workout. And out of nowhere, they want to do it different. They want to do it differently, and this. And I created this kind of meme that I sent to the group of the people who were always having these, inquiries in the gym. And he just said, I still have the picture to this day, saved in my phone, that always assume you're supposed to do it the right way. And if you have to ask, it's already not the right way.
Yes.
Because you know if it's the right way. Yes. If it's the right way, you don't have to fucking ask.
You wouldn't question it.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't even, it wouldn't even come into your mind to question if it's the right way.
Interesting. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're asking, like, people know what to do.
It's already trying to game the system.
Yes.
And what if, like, I mean, what ifs, that's the best.
yeah, what if this, what if that? I know, it's like, dude, it's just sleep, food, training.
Yeah,
we all know what to
breathe
do around
into
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Like you can simplify it pretty much. It's like, I always say it's simple, but it's just not easy. And
exactly.
it's a very
100%.
true statement, because
100%.
it is really difficult. It is difficult to be aware, and it's difficult to feel movement, and it's difficult, but it's also like, simple is not difficult. Like things can be simple and things can be difficult at the same time.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. But people should also realize that it's not instant. Like, it's a process.
Well, dude,
and
yes,
that's what Julian was
Yes.
always saying. Like, okay, don't look at yesterday, because yesterday is just too close. But look at half a year ago. Are you better than you were half a year ago?
Yeah.
In the aspect you want to be better at? If the answer is yes, you're doing something right. If the answer is no, you're either not doing it right, or you're not doing it enough, or you're not doing it at all.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it's that simple. Just don't look at your weights and this in the perspective of last week and 2 weeks ago. Like, no. Half a year ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. If I remember how I was coaching 5 years ago, like I would I would probably throw myself out of window. Like don't do this,
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, me too, man. Yeah, me too. I know, and it's funny, right? Like that's a good comparison, because, dude, I remember there was a time like when we first kind of started. I first started doing sandbags. Dude, I couldn't pick up the 200-pound sandbag. Now it's like
200 pounds. Kidding me? That took me 2 years to get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
to even get the sandbag,
to even get it to your doorstep, dude. I know.
Exactly.
I know, dude. But then like it's been like probably a year and a bit using those tools now, like a year and a half maybe, let's say, and now it's like I can do the 250. So it's like that's objectionable, like that's you look at that. You don't look at the 250.
And it doesn't mean that tomorrow you'll wake up and you will do 300 out of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Exactly.
But it means that you progressed and you learned something. You learned along the way.
Yeah, and that was something I never did when I was in CrossFit. It was always like, what's ahead? It's never like you're never looking back at what you've done to reference what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what I think, it's like, oh shit, like,
and
I did come from there.
If you're doing if you're going the right direction, if you actually not the right direction, if you're going the direction you want to, because many people will actually do workouts and stuff, and it's like you ask them why they're doing it, and they will say, because other people are doing it. So they are basically working on a goal that is not even theirs. Well, no shit, they are depressed after.
Yes, it's not even what they want.
Yeah.
Which is a huge thing, right? Especially in relationships. Like, you find that a lot. I think, like any relationship, it's like they're doing it for someone else and not themselves.
Yeah.
Which is that, and that people do that and translate that through all aspects of their life, right?
And whether it's nutrition, relationships, or training, or, cold exposure, whatever it is, like, what is the end goal? You know the finite and infinite games theory?
No.
Okay, so it's this guy, Simon Sinek. He's like a leadership coach and leadership author. He wrote books, Leaders Eats Last, and a couple more, but I can't remember the titles now. But Leaders Eats Last was, I think, his first book. And but the game theory, it's coming from another guy who wrote actually a book called The Theory of the Games, or The Games Theory. You'll definitely be able to find it. And it basically says that there are two types of games in the world: finite games and infinite games. Any sport is a finite game. It has a set rules, it has a set beginning, set end, number of players, everything. Yeah, Football, it's 90 minutes, these are the rules, go the team who scores most within the rules wins, right?
Right.
And then you have infinite games, and for example, business, fitness, or relationships are infinite games, because you also play, but you don't have known number of players in business, right? You can have people coming and leaving. In relationship, that's pretty weird, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah. In fitness, you have people coming and leaving. The rules are pretty open. You can have people joining, you can have people leaving along the way, and the only thing, and this is the most important part, the only thing that will finish the infinite game, because it goes forever until you either run out of resources or you run out of will to continue. And people look at fitness and nutrition and all their goals, sometimes even relationships, in the finite game mindset. Like, by this time I need to have this, and by this time I need to, like, no. It's the only goal of the infinite game is keep playing.
They're playing finite rules in an infinite game.
Yes, in the infinite game.
Yes.
Correct. So they try to beat some arbitrary made up goals, but the actual goal is to keep playing, keep showing up, keep working on it.
Yes, that's a really good. I love that, man. Wow, that's a really good one. Yes. Wow, that's wild. No wonder why people are fucking this up. They're not even playing the same game, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. They are not playing the same game, and this is the mindset shift. If you are able to not only acknowledge it, like, oh yeah, but actually feel that, oh yeah, shit, this is it, and change your mindset to infinite game, then just showing up, it's a win. Lifting is a win. Moving your body because you fucking can is a win. I had a client who was always like, he would show up in the fucking blizzard outside. It was in Czech Republic.
Yeah.
He would come on his bicycle. There was a blizzard outside, like freezing, like pretty much Canada weather, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And he would come completely frozen, on his bike. It's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I still have legs. I still have arms. I still have a healthy body. I'm not going to neglect it.
Wow.
There are people, and this, if people realize this, there are people who are in a way shittier conditions than you are.
Yeah.
Way shittier, and they are still doing it.
And you can't get here after you've had your Starbucks and in your nice electric car.
Exactly. Car seat heated and whatever. And oh my God.
Dude, okay, I have one more question that I want to ask you.
Sure.
Strong fit related, and then we can wrap it. Okay. What was one of their principles that drastically changed the way that you approached fitness? What was like the biggest one that impacted you?
The phylogenetic hierarchy, for sure. The breakdown of nervous system and the nervous stages of flow, fight, flight, and freeze, and understanding that it's everywhere. Your cell, on the cellular level, your cell can be in these stages, your organs can be in these stages, your muscles can be in these stages, whole society can be in these stages.
Transcends
it translates everywhere.
Transcends just the human body and the human condition.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely. Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah, it's nature.
And obviously, you need to start from yourself. So you need to understand it to yourself. How it is, what it is when I'm in a flow, what it feels like when I'm in a fight. What is difference between fight and flight? That's a big one. And what is different between flow and flight? Because many people who are in flight mode, they are just trying to escape their life and escape everything. They will tell you that they are in a flow.
Yeah, because they everything is like, there's peace almost to it.
It's cloud in front of their eyes, you know? It's everything is haste. Yes. They don't understand. That's pretty much the same people who don't even perceive how much stress they are. It's the same thing.
The numbness, yeah. Interesting. Yes. Interesting. I'm going to have to agree, dude. That's 100%.
Yeah, for you, the same. Yeah,
it's either that or the torque chains, but I would say that's even more.
Yeah, but this is the thing, that the torque chains evolves around it as well.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
It's included.
It is. That's the thing, is like the of all the principles. I mean, they're all principles for the most part, but that's like that one connects everything to everything. IT chains, West scale. All of it.
Yeah,
it's all,
and that's pretty much where I got, let's say, stuck, but not in a way that I can't move on, but I don't really want to move on much more because I think it has depth that I didn't fully grasp yet, because I still keep seeing the patterns and situations I didn't see it before, and reading people based on that and understanding relationships, understanding as I said, like the whole society and the mindset, and it's so revolved around everything that is happening in individual life, in the muscles and in the attitude towards life, that I'm like exploring this to the endless capacity, and that's where I kind of like stayed. That's why I really stayed with it. Even, for example, Julian is not talking about it as much now,
Yeah, he's applying it elsewhere and through autism and stuff.
He moved differently. Moved on.
Yeah. Interesting. Dude, I love that, man. I mean, I agree with you too. I am 100% on board. Once I read that, dude, it not only did it, I don't know, I'd like to think at least that I've been pretty aware of certain things, but that made me so much more aware of myself that I was almost rocked. I was like, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Because I went backwards in time.
I was 100% rocked. Like, I'm no shame saying that I had no clue what the fuck was going on, and they just opened it for me.
I would say the same thing. I thought I knew, but then I was like, I don't know nothing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Then going back.
You think you understand. Yeah. You think you understand, but then when you really understand, you're like, nah.
Yeah, nah.
That wasn't it.
Shit. You didn't know shit, dude. Yeah, and that's because, especially because I like to reflect. I'll go backwards a lot of times, not to live there, but to be like, take the knowledge that I have now and then compare it to the knowledge that I didn't have, and look at those scenarios and be like, well, that's what that was. Oh, that's
why we have memories, right?
Exactly. Because then I was like, oh shit. So now when it comes up, I'm like, oh, it's just this, because you've been there before.
Exactly.
Like,
that's why that's why we store the memories. That's why we store the experiences, because that's the only way to move on when you want to learn, right?
Exactly. So I would agree, man. That's pretty much that was the game changer. And I try to explain that to everyone that I meet,
Oh yeah, I draw it on a board at least twice a week for somebody.
Exactly. There you go. Dude, man, I fucking love this, bro. Let's definitely do this again.
Thank you so much. This was a brilliant idea.
Dude, I agree. And